Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name, Kerry Stevenson, and today I've asked Christy Forest. She's the CEO of LiveHire. ASX code is LVH. I'm going to dig into what LiveHire do, but it's a fascinating area. This is software as a service. So we're going tech today, ladies and gentlemen. And we all know what's going on out there in terms of hiring, lack of staff. What a great position LiveHire are in right now, using technology to deliver, workforces where there's a really big challenges ahead. So using technology to give companies opportunities and ways of securing their workforces going forward. Christy, great to see you. Welcome to Small Caps.
Thanks, Kerry.
Let's start off, because this is the first time you and I have had a conversation to our audience. Who are LiveHire? What are you doing?
Thank you. LiveHire is a talent acquisition and mobility platform. We've innovated an approach to hiring talent, attracting, engaging, and hiring talent that has really transformed the way that the industry engages with candidates in the marketplace. And if we all think about how our lives changed as consumers, when there was more and more power in our hands on our mobile, and we could make more personalized choices, we felt a little bit more control on where we were opting into opportunities to book an Airbnb or be known by the Uber as to where you're standing. I would say that the founders of this business really brought some of that philosophy, that more consumer grade, humanized, personalized experience to the technology. And the good news is that what that does is it actually transforms the outcomes for the companies we serve. So the companies themselves ensure that they're providing a better experience for candidates. They have more of an ongoing relationship with candidates, as opposed to the typical historical approach to just firing off a CV, hoping somebody will call you back. Technology didn't allow for that. People wanted to call their candidates back, but technology did not allow for a talent community with talent pooling, two-way texting, and a more humanized experience.
So tell me, because I'm looking back to my days of when you were going out and putting out CVs, etc. You've got these recruitment companies doing it in a way where they've got a database of people, and someone says, "I'm looking for," let's just say, a CEO, and they go through, because there's big companies and big money in that space. What's the difference between what they do and what LiveHire does?
Yeah, you'd be surprised, the traditional technology, how hard it is to actually go in and mine for information about a particular candidate, and to be able to find that person and reach out to them, communicate with them in a way that allows for responsiveness. And part of the precious asset that has been built with LiveHire is called a federated profile. So the candidate has a profile. It's like having a private LinkedIn profile where they've completed some information in under 2 minutes, but we collect more than 90 data points, and that information is owned by the candidate. It's almost like their passport if they'd like to leverage that into multiple company communities where they may have expressed interest in an organization. But what it does for the company is it means that there is fresh information all the time. It's not dead data that they can't search well, that they can't actually access properly. It's live data, which is why we're called LiveHire, because this profile, this candidate profile, is a single profile that they have more incentive to keep updated, but which they own. And that's very, very different. Typically, you would have just made an application, your data sits there, it's not very accessible, and it never changes. So that's very, very different with LiveHire.
So basically, the detail is in the individual's hands, and it goes into a LiveHire platform. Is that right?
That's right. And each company that is our client will create their own community where those candidates can exist and live in that community to be engaged by that company, but they could also opt into someone else's community, and they get a different experience there because each company has the ability to engage with their candidates how they'd like, build talent pools for roles that are upcoming, be more proactive as opposed to reactive, to post a job and what they say, post and pray. You get a bunch of candidates. Candidates themselves get better communication throughout. They know where they are in the process. They feel like someone's really caring for their journey. And if they are unsuccessful, we have all kinds of ways to make sure that candidates are kept updated and put into a talent pool where they can be considered easily the next time around. We call them silver medalists. It's a really elegant experience for both the recruiters and the candidate.
It's a busy market, Christy. Talk to me about why LiveHire and not some. Is anyone else doing what you guys are doing?
No one's doing it exactly the same way or as well.
Of course not.
But this is partly because a lot of the technology that's come into the market is attempting to round out some of the gaps in the traditional technology. We really replace it. It is a change management initiative for an organization to bring LiveHire in and not just try to maybe put a Band-Aid, technology on top of something that you already had. That's really the difference. So there are technologies that may do pieces of what we do, but part of the reason why we win so many awards, we have exceptional net promoter scores from our candidates, is the holistic view we take to the whole experience, how all the parts work together and were conceived originally with that vision.
You've had some growth. I want to go into, I guess, the opportunities for growth with the company. I know in June you won a fairly big contract over in the US. What I want to dig into, if I could, Christy, is where's the growth coming from and why you see this as a pivotal time in the company's growth.
Yeah, we're really excited about the opportunity in front of us. It's really two different parts of the business that are meeting the markets that we're in based on the opportunities in those markets for our technology. So our history is in the Australian, New Zealand market and Asia Pac.
Okay.
Within that market, we have established ourselves with more than 200 clients. We have more than 95% net retention rates and really phenomenal case studies where we primarily are working with and serving the HR department at a corporate who is recruiting all their talent through LiveHire. We have about more than 30% of the Australian workforce represented with LiveHire profiles. So
hang on, stop for a second. That's a big number.
Yeah.
You just said 30% of the Australian workforce is represented on LiveHire.
That's a LiveHire profile. That's right. So that's an asset. And it is a phenomenal achievement for LiveHire in the history, which many of our investors would have known us more as that Australian business that was building out this concept of the federated profile, the talent communities. And we've done that. We've done a fantastic job of building that business, meeting the market, and the innovation that our clients are making is transforming their results and their approach to the current labor market. To your point, it's tough out there, but they're incredibly successful with LiveHire, and they save costs for many, many reasons because they're reusing candidates, particularly over time, and the data is fresh. But they also achieve faster hiring times, which is very valuable to hiring managers and higher quality. The way we meet the US North American market is through what they would call the contingent workforce, the contractor. So if in Asia Pac, it's primarily permanent hiring. Okay. In North America, our solution is particularly well suited to contingent or contractor hiring. And there is contractor hiring happening in Australia. In fact, we have a lot that goes through our platform. In North America, it's very much of a separate initiative within a corporate to have an entire program dedicated internally to how they're hiring contingent workers and contractors. More than 40% of the US workforce is actually contingent contractor workforce. That's much higher than in Australia, for example. So when we entered that market, we saw the opportunity there. And not only is it a huge opportunity, but it's constantly growing. More and more candidates see themselves in multiple ways. I'm happy to be a permanent hire. I'm happy to be a contractor. I'm happy to work gig. I'm happy to be flexible. So that's happening a lot more quickly in North America. We are running into the opportunity there and trading particularly on the value of LiveHire around speed. So I mentioned the three things that we differentiate on. We measure everything. We know we deliver higher quality candidates. We know we deliver at faster speed, and we know we save costs. Speed in the contingent space in North America is gold.
Wow.
And it is how and why, when we brought our technology to that space, we have been elevated to the #1 technology for what's called direct sourcing, which is an innovative new approach to using technology to build a talent community for a company for the first time ever for their contingent workforce and doing their own recruitment rather than going out to all their agencies. It's a very innovative, disruptive approach to that entire segment that's growing and which we're beautifully positioned for.
Christy, how did you crack the US market? I know you've got an American accent, so you're clearly from there.
I spoke the language. You have to speak the language to crack the market. And it's different. It's not the same language as Australian, but you know, it's a great question. I'm really glad you asked, because it was about 12 months worth of what we would call the reconnaissance missions that I was doing with our Chief Growth Officer, Mike Haywood, at the time. And we were having lots of conversations in the market around how it was structurally set up and how that really was different, and where these opportunities were for LiveHire to crack into something that had a few competitors, but not the hundreds of competitors that we would have faced, for example, if we were trying to move into the HR buying center. So we're very effective in Australia and Asia Pac on that HR buying center. The buying center for contingent and contractor is procurement and finance in America.
Okay.
So there's also an entire ecosystem of suppliers, one being what's called a managed service provider, who is often in managing all of that spend and there's more than $200 billion in spend, contractor spend in North America. So this is a significant amount of spend for any corporate, and they are constantly looking for ways to do things better, faster, cheaper. So it's a very innovative concept. We found it and were received with open arms because our technology actually really works.
How long have you been in the US market, and in terms of the penetration of LiveHire into the US market? Because as I said just before, I reckon it's a tough market to crack. You reckon you cracked it? How far open have you cracked it? How much further have you got to go? Because I guess what I want to dig into here, Christy, is from a growth point of view from your company, how much more is to come? And has the market recognized that LiveHire has that opportunity? I want to know whether there's been some recognition of that.
Yeah. Where are we on the journey? And is that understood? So we found the opportunity about 2 years ago.
Okay.
We've been building a partner ecosystem, because the way that this solution needs to present is you have to have someone who is using our technology to deliver the outcomes for the client. So we've built an ecosystem of partners who are capable of that. That's really where a lot of our time and investment has come, while we're educating end clients in America on the solution, which they've never done before. It's new.
Exactly.
It's disruptive. That takes a little more time, especially when you're talking about Fortune 500 companies. So we do have about 30 clients. Many of them, all of them are Fortune 1000 companies. Some of them are Fortune 100 companies.
Wow.
Those sales cycles take a while. But that's what we've really accomplished over the last 2 years, is building our earliest clients and our earliest partners and the users of our platform, and a massive education of the market on how this solution can deliver. And that's a little different than stepping into a market. I always like to say, in Australia, we were an unproven product in an established market. In America, we were a proven product. We are in an unestablished market. So the solution in the contingent side is very new, but the momentum is phenomenal. If you look online for direct sourcing, there's all kinds of webinars. Everybody's sort of running to this, particularly in the current environment. It is absolutely the initiative that companies want to undertake. So I would have liked to have been, showing even more progress in 2 years. There's a big market we're moving. We're not just stepping into it, but we're moving a market, and we have a lot of support for this movement from all the industry pundits. They say that 60% of the Fortune 1000 will transition to direct sourcing over the next couple of years.
All right. So going back to how you said you've got 30 clients over there at the moment, that the market, what did you say, $200 billion market over there?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of that have you cracked open? Do you have an office over there? How do you manage it? Because you're based here.
Yeah. So we do have now about 10 people in North America. The first thing I did was hire an EVP of sales. And okay. She comes from the industry, and she's been working in the business with us for the last 2 years. We only in the last year have hired a number of other staff in North America, very highly connected and revered, and have done a tremendous job of getting more and more recognition for LiveHire in North America, to the point that we are considered the #1 direct sourcing technology. So that's been the work. And so, there is more to do. The 30 clients would be a very, very small part of the 200 billion. In fact, what we found, and this is a really important learning for us, what we found is that the earliest companies who were adopting this were smaller than Fortune 100. They'd be sort of closer to Fortune 1000, and they weren't always adopting the perfect best practices to be successful out of the gates. So we've really shifted our focus with our partners, and particularly this large partner that we announced in June, to what we call ICP, Ideal Client Profile. So what you'll see from here is bigger clients, huge Fortune 100 companies who are taking on this program, but what we would consider to be adopting the 5 pillars of success before we sign the contract. So that's important for us, so that we can demonstrate this is a pay for performance model. Another really important point to note. So the reason that the revenue doesn't look the same as it comes through as a SaaS model is that every single month you have a contractor that has been hired on the LiveHire platform, and they are being paid their monthly salary. We're getting a clip of the ticket.
That's what I wanted to know.
And so you build this progression for each deal. You build this progression of revenue, and it's almost, it's actually quite flat to start. So we're winning deals. The revenue's coming, but it hasn't really landed in the numbers yet. But we are seeing more and more large companies now come into view in our pipeline, which we're really excited, because those contracts are worth $1 to $2 million.
So just to be clear, each person that's on the LiveHire platform, if they get contracted, or as you say, contingent,
yes,
you get a clip of the ticket for each single person. So that does take a while.
That's right.
The future revenue growth is strong. Are you confident on that?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
We think it takes about 18 to 24 months to get to, terminal value, if you will, of a particular program. So when we get launched into a client and we start to hire against their program, we figure we can get to maybe 60 to 80% of the program. So when we talk about 200 billion, if we were to sell to every single program, we still would only maybe have 60 to 80% of the total that would come through our platform. There still would be some agencies putting candidates in otherwise. And it takes us about 18 to 24 months to get to that terminal rate.
Just to be clear, the US model, as in, somebody comes on and you get a clip of the ticket, same in the Australian market?
Australian, yeah, different SaaS model where you get an upfront annual license fee. That's why it looks different.
Got it. Okay. Out of a percentage and a focus, I often say, which one's your favorite child, Asia Pac or the US? I guess. Where's the focus? Where's the growth? It sounds to me like it could be the US market.
Yes, that it is absolutely, because it is the degree of difficulty right there right now is very, very high, but the opportunity is so huge. So my time has been very heavily focused on the US, but that's also because Asia Pac is my first love, where the team that I've brought into LiveHire to build that business have done a phenomenal job. So they've got it. They're doing a fantastic job of delivering consistent growth all the way through COVID. Every single quarter, we grew that business. They've moved the retention rate from 60 to 95% plus. They've done a phenomenal job. So, with full diplomacy, but also with truth in my heart, I love them both. And I just am able to feel really comfortable and confident that the team that I've got running the Asia Pac business has got it, while we really do something very new for the market and for us in North America. And I leverage my American contacts and my interests there to support the business to be the best that it can be.
Do you think, given your current market cap, which I think is about 70 odd million, do you think that's factored the US opportunity into that market cap at the moment?
No, I really don't. and I understand the revenue model is different. And so it's not, you have to view it differently. You have to view it with that level of understanding and really understand what the potential is, even of the deals that we have brought in that aren't showing in the same way as the ANZ business. So I think that, no, it absolutely has not. I mean, typical multiples on any SaaS business are 5 to 10. You sort of start ticking that off of the 74 million, and you end up with, and then you take our 10 million in cash off. We're only valued at about 30 million for the US business, which is about the same as what we're valued for Australia. Very different, a market that's 12 times as big, a market that is more than 12 times as big when you look at the contingent spend and the size of the prize for LiveHire against that opportunity.
Quickly to some numbers. You did a rights issue in August, so you've got a very strong balance sheet. Is that correct? And
that's correct.
What's your revenue projections, if you like, for going into 23? I want to know where's the growth coming from.
So at some point, of course, what's going to happen is that the North American business is going to overtake the Asia Pac business just by the sheer size. So we start to see the lines crossing in about 12 months. That's all dependent on how quickly we can, get the deals in America scaling as quickly as possible. Again, we're going through a lot of learning with our partners, but we're starting to see some phenomenal early signs of success. And we had also announced a deal just a couple months ago, a huge oil and gas company that had supersized their direct sourcing deal with us. That's worth about 1.3 million, and they've adopted every single one of the best practices. It may be that we're able to get them to their full run rate at 12 to 15 months, not the 18 to 24 that we've put conservatively in our model. So when I say those numbers, I'm being a little bit conservative only because it's never been done before, and I don't want to get out way ahead of our skis, but we know we're winning the market, and we know we're going to be the fastest ones to deliver results relative to our competitors.
I've got one quick question because we are running out of time, so I'm going to have to wrap it up in a minute. But one quick question is, again, what you're doing, difficult for others to replicate, I guess, from an investor's point of view, is could somebody come in and eat your lunch?
In America, everybody's trying to eat everybody's lunch all the time. So could it happen? Of course. But we are so far ahead in the design of our platform and the experience that we have at scale in cranking outcomes through our platform. It would be very hard for someone to catch up in the near term. We still have to run very hard. And the biggest thing for us to do, of course, in North America is to win the deals and prove the scaling of the deals. People may come in and say they can do things that they can't actually do. The minute that we continue to prove that we're the ones that actually deliver, I think we shut it down.
Goodness me, a lot of growth coming up in the future. Christy, we've run out of time. Everyone knows I love to finish this up by wrapping it in a bow, if you like, with 3 reasons why our beautiful community out there should be sitting up and taking notice of ASX code LVH LiveHire, that is right now.
Thanks, Carrie. I'd say 3 things. Number 1, at a macro level, the contingent or contractor workforce in America, it's already 45% of the workforce. It's growing at 11% or more. And when you actually look at the current environment, which is potential downturn, but still a tight labor market, historically, every time that happens, there's actually more that moves from permanent into contingent. So we're in the right part of the workforce at the right time with the macro tailwinds right behind us. The second thing is that we have delivered for the market validation of our number 1 position as the direct sourcing technology. That's come not only through industry pundits who rate us highly consistently, but also the Manpower agreement that we discussed. They went through a 9-month competitive process on all the technologies. They were very thoughtful. They have shifted their business to direct sourcing. It's that important. And they chose LiveHire as their partner. So that's thing number 2. They have more than $25 billion under spend themselves. So we're working very closely with them. The third thing is that I do think that we are undervalued for the potential of the US business. I really think once investors understand the revenue model, the size and magnitude, our position, that there's the opportunity for investors to realize significant upside based on where our market cap is today.
All righty. Well, that was a very thorough interview, Christy. I really appreciate your time today. Let's come back in the new year, find out how you're continuing to crack open that US market. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, the ASX code, as I said at the beginning, is LVH. That is LiveHire, taking, I guess, software as a service in that contingent market in the US, changing it up. And you know what? It's a big market over there, and I don't think the market here has quite recognized what they're doing. Christy, great to see you. See you in the new year.
Thanks, Carrie.